All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for staying awake to enjoy this part of the presentation. So what you'll need to have up is a schedule that you're going to work on, which is for me it's update 22, um, and you're going to need to have the spreadsheet, um, and you're going to need to have the log that you do whenever you hit the in Primavera, when you hit the schedule. And you actually do have to schedule it. Don't worry, because if you screw it up, you could always reload it. But you got to make sure this logged file is there, and then you can make sure that you're saving it in an appropriate location. For me, yes, because I already did it, and then you just hit schedule, and it should populate it. Okay, so at this point, we are ready to go through and start the macro. So also for the developer, you got to make sure this tab is open for you guys. And if you don't have it enabled, just go to options. You go to customize ribbon, and right here at this little developer, you got to make sure that it's checked. So okay, so let's go ahead and run this macro. We probably won't do the whole thing. We're supposed to limit these presentations to about 5 minutes, so we'll do a quick run through. So macro, we want to do a schedule review and run. So all it's going to do is going to ask you, basic questions. In our case, we need to make sure that we have the file. It has to be exactly the way it is on the tab. So for me, it's right here, 5UP22-V01. That's what I have it named as. So I'll just do 5UP22-V01. There's also a tab down here, and I'll show you at the very end. So, okay. So was the entire project scheduled? You can have your schedule next to you. For me, I know that it was, so just yes. It doesn't matter. So did the contractor management participate? Yes. The project manager, assistant project manager did the schedule. Did the subs and suppliers? Yes. During our weekly meeting, he makes a point to notify us that the subs and suppliers have contributed. Is the schedule cost loaded? Yes, I know that. Was the schedule provided on a timely basis? This could be debated. This one wasn't, so if it wasn't, you can just say no, but it was submitted on such and such date, maybe 6/4/19, whatever it is. You have your pay app information. That's where I make notations as to when the schedule was submitted and approved. So also on the in RMS. So was the schedule used basis of payment? Yes. Does it have the appropriate level of detail? Yes. So now it's doing some. So does the schedule start prior to NTP acknowledge? So this is when you want to go back to the schedule. Does it start prior to NTP acknowledge? So you want to go and click on this, look at the relationships. There's nothing before it, so you know that this answer is yes. Does the schedule start? No. Is the first activity start project or NTP? Yes. Does a start project activity have a constrained early start constrained equal to the NTP? Well, let's look. Is it constrained? Yes. To the NTP? Acknowledged? Yes. So it's constraints? Yes. And it's the NTP acknowledged starter project. So you can answer this yes. This is the basis of this macro. Is the last activity in the schedule constrained by completion date? This is the last activity. And yes, finish on or before 9 September. Is the last activity in the project called end project? Yes. You can see it right here, end project. Does the last activity have a late finish constrained equal to the contract completion? I'm not sure if that column, if we have it enabled, but let's see. We have finished. Well, it's constrained. 9 September 19. We know that, so I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. I'm sure if we add the column late finish, it'll show it constrained, because it is constrained there. Yep. Are there any other constrained dates on the project? This is where you want to look at the log. We should have the log open, available to us. So are there any other constrained dates? And constrained means, you know, that we're forcing it. So that we're forcing it to happen on by a certain date. So here's activities with constraint. There should only be 2, and there are only 2. And you can see this NTP and end of project. So are there any other? Nope. Nope, no artificial float. Is there more than 2 open-ended activities? Well, we just looked here. Right under here, you have your warning, activities without predecessors. That means it's open-ended. Activities without successors, it's open-ended. Nope. Is there a contractual interim completion date? Is there a contractual phase, you know, hey, phase 1 must be completed by a certain date? Nope. Is your contract phased? My contract is, but I'm going to say no, just so we can push this along. So does the following activities match your daily reports? This is where it just takes random activities, and you can go and look at in RMS. I had to shut RMS down so that I could run all these programs, but you can go into the dailies for that date and look to see what was actually started or actually finished. If it doesn't match here, then you just notate it here, and then you have comments back. So on all my previous submissions, it's always been like that, but you don't rely on that. Go and check it. So I'll say check later. Just a little note to myself. Are there any add a sequence activities? And if so, were they approved? This is what you should be going over on the schedule review. So there's always add a sequence activities that are occurring, and the contractor will have to move activities around and move starts and finishes. And so yes, and it was discussed at the schedule review. Did the contractor propose logic corrections? Yes. Yes, they did. So, or justify not changing prior to updating. But this is always at the schedule review. This is where they make their proposals to change, and we can say yes, no, or you know, we have to know. They have to explain to us why they're doing certain things. Does the schedule contain negative float? No. Does the schedule contain any start to finish activities? No. So this is it. So once we go through that, we have the data that we just typed in is all right here. And earlier, you know, this is per the spec. I mean, this is what is on every sentence by sentence in my specification, which should be yours. I mean, they're going to be slightly changed. What are we really asking? You know, the scheduling of the entire project is required. Okay, what we're really asking is, was the entire project scheduled? Yes, right? So I kind of just try to put it into basic layman terms. So anyways, we go back to the detailed requirements. This is really the meat of the macro, or, you know, activity durations. Do these have reasonable durations? So the spec says reasonable activity durations are those that allow the progress of ongoing activities to be accurately determined between update periods. So really, what are we asking? Do they have reasonable durations? So then you can look here, hard ceilings, RFI 183, original duration 7. What does that mean, right? So then I could just go back to the contractor and say, hey, you know, you need to add more detail in here. In this case, this hard ceiling was work that the contractor took the risk and performed, so we know that it's done. So that's the case with that one. But then you just look, I mean, it's a sample. Every month it's different. They're not the same activities. I want to show you that it's just at random it selects activities. You know, the contract says that there should be less non-procurement activities, greater than 20 work days, or on a 30-day calendar, less than 2%. So this calculates it for us. It's at 5%, but I've talked to the contractor, and this is, I got to update the code, but it includes their level of effort activities, which give kind of a false reading here. So this was on update 20. 21 I deleted, but here's 22. So let's see here. So does the schedule have, so the schedule must include activities associated with submittal, approval, procurement, fabrication, delivery, long lead, blah, 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 right? So what are they asking? Okay, so does the schedule have these activities? So the macro searches for certain words and in the description of the activity. And so we have 199 that include submittals, 57 that have approval. So, the answer is clearly yes. Is the schedule phased? Does it have phase transitions? Yes, here's all the activities with the word phase in it. So it just goes through. I mean, you guys get the idea. I'm kind of just walking you through here. And this is all done by search, It's just going in there, activity responsibility codings. They're supposed to add responsibility codes, right? So does the schedule have responsibility codes? And here they are, right? Here they are, milestone, or if it's a milestone, they have milestone. So ZFCC, I mean, it's all the different, who's responsible. Here's the work area, right? Pave, electrical, form, comm, all the mods, right? All the mod codings. The CLIN codings, all the different CLINs. So anyways, you guys get the gist of it. Thanks for hanging around, and I hope, and if you guys want this macro, I can certainly send it over to you, and I can talk you through it a little bit better, and so you can get a good feel for it. And it's just meant to provide kind of like a baseline, and it'll give you comments back, because I'm sure you might be scratching your head like, okay, what comments do I put in for this review? How do I even review a schedule? You can take the classes, that the core offers, and they give you a spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet, but they give you like a PDF, and it's a one-page thing. This is more detailed because it goes per our specification, and it covers everything that's on that one-page PDF that they give you at the scheduling course, the prospect course. Anyhow, thanks guys. Take care. Bye.